I'll give a hug. And then for the last keynote for this long session around common ground, I'm delighted to have, I don't think we're going to move chairs, so I can just stand in front. I'm delighted to have a good friend, Climate Farmers. He's been at Change now multiple times. I think last year I had to step in for Vandana Shiva. And this year he has the keynote by himself. So give a warm applause for Philippe Birker.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here today and to speak to you about two topics that I care very deeply about. The one is applied systems thinking, and the other one is regenerative agriculture. And now, before we dive into the heart of the matter, I would invite you all to please stand up. Thank you. And please, close your eyes. I will join you. Now, please take a deep breath and feel the air, how it fills your lungs, your chest, your stomach. And feel your feet that carry you and connect you to the planet that we all are on. And you can feel the air on your skin as well as your outer realm. And you can feel your heart that's beating and pumping blood all throughout your body. All these parts are interconnected. Your breath affects your heart rate. Your emotions affect your posture. And what you ate today will affect what you're feeling. Everything in our body is an intricate system. And in the same way how our body is a system, we're also part all of many other wider systems. And now you can open your eyes again. The main system that we all are part of, you can sit down if you want, or you can stand, both fine. The ultimate system we all are part of is our planet Earth. Planet Earth is a system brimming with intelligence, and it's an interconnected web of life. And unfortunately, we as humans, most of the time, ignore the other intelligence that is out there and the webs of life which go beyond our understanding. Even our most complex science is not able to understand the complexity of planet Earth. We have trees and mushrooms which form vast underground networks of mycelium exchanging information and exchanging nutrients. We have whales which pass songs over generations from one to another. We have trees which shape entire ecosystems and which carry memory, something that most of us can still not comprehend. Unfortunately, as humans, we have lost that connection with our planet. And I believe that that is the reason why we are now living in the age of the Anthropocene and why we are in the climate crisis that we all are in. As climate farmers, we believe that humans are what we call a keystone species. It's an honorable title that we share with, among others, beavers. Now, beavers have a positive influence on most ecosystems through the work that we're doing. Humans have currently a largely negative one. We are destroying the very planet that we're living on. We also believe, though, if we shape a world where humans have found their place again within the larger ecosystem, we can be a species that actually contributes towards a thriving planet. And below that, we think that agriculture and the way how we grow our food is a key way of getting there. So we are completely dedicated to the mission of scaling regenerative agriculture and helping humans to reconnect with that planet. Now, I have had the pleasure of being on this regenerative journey for 5 years by now. And it's been incredible to see what has happened in the meantime. In 2019, there was barely farmers that identified as regenerative. By now, there's between 100 and 200,000 farmers which call themselves somewhere on the regenerative path. That's 1 to 2% of all farmers in Europe. That's still not what we would like to see, but it is a lot more than what we had 5 years ago. There's many reasons for that. One of them is climate change effects. We lost 2 million farmers just in the last 3 years because of the fact of climate change on their farms. The other one is agri-food businesses who have realized that if they want to make a profit, they need to be able to source produce to make their products. And they see those supply chains not functioning anymore. So they are starting to support farmers in the transition to regenerative agriculture. We also see a political movement of farmers. At Climate Farmers, we organized 2 conferences, and out of one of them emerged EARA, the European Alliance for Regenerative Agriculture, which is an amazing organization from farmers for farmers, lobbying for political change in Brussels. And this is important because in the current times, policy is crucial because we're discussing the new common agricultural policy. That cap is giving for many farmers half or more of their income. It's 440 billion euros given out over 7 years, and it's being renegotiated right now. So now is the time to act up and speak to our politicians so that we can get payment for outcome-based ecosystem services into that cap. And then we have the wider regenerative movement, where also people like Josh Tickle and the Kiss the Ground movie have contributed to that awareness about reconnect is rising. At Climate Farmers, we mostly work with farmers directly, and we connect them with each other, and we help them to learn from each other. But we also understood that farmers, as everything, are part of a system. They're part of the agri-food system. So in the last year, we conducted more than 100 interviews with different agri-food system actors, from insurance companies to banks, to farmers, of course, to policy, to research, and created a systems map. Now, in the scope of this session, we won't have the time to go into that map. If you're interested, you can find it on our website at Climate Farmers. But I want to zoom in with you in one small corner at the top right of that map. And that is the corner of education, a very often forgotten topic in the whole systemic debate. Unfortunately, in the current extractive conventional system, we have a dominance of the influence of the agrochemical industry. And what they do is they push a research agenda which is serving their purposes, and they're keeping education and training in that same extractive mindset that has brought us into the mess that we're in right now. What that means is, if you are a farmer in the German context, for example, which is where I grew up, you have 2 opportunities if you're a young person and you want to learn about agriculture. You can do what we call an Ausbildung, or vocational training, and you go partially on farms and partially in schools to learn about agriculture. Several of our farmers who are regenerative are training farms, and they tell us they have to unlearn what these people have learned in class when they come to their farm. So it's a constant battle between what they show on their farm and what they learn in the classrooms. If you go on the university level, it doesn't get much better because we have sales agents of the agrochemical industry giving lectures to young students and indoctrinating their mindsets with what is mostly driven by their profit margins. So what this looks like in the reality is that in vocational training, 85 to 90% is conventional, 10% is organic, rarely fully, less than 1% is regenerative, and even then, mostly through workshops or small modules. The same happens at university level. Schumacher College from Satish Kumar is the only institution in Europe right now which is offering a regenerative agriculture master, and it's a private college. There's no single European public university right now having a regenerative agriculture master program. Let that sink in. We should say there are some front runners. There's a few universities which at least have models in regenerative agriculture and which also have partially done a lot of research on the topic. We work as Climate Farmers with the University of Reading and Wageningen University in the Netherlands, and there's also the University of Kassel, there's ISARA in France, and there's the BOKU in Vienna, which are all doing research and having modules of regenerative agriculture. No one has a fully regenerative agriculture bachelor or master program right now. So we tried to talk with the Dutch educational minister, and we tried to push for a regenerative master. And he told us that they can't accept this because they don't think that there's a market, they don't think there's students who want this, and they don't think there's jobs for people who graduate with this. So we went back, and we talked with the farmers on the ground, which are doing the work. And we asked them, what would such an education, in your opinion, be looking like? And we spoke to Matteo Mazzolla from a beautiful farm, Isilde, in the northern Italy, who has trained more than 100 farmers himself in the last few years. We spoke with Manuel Troya, an amazing 460-hectare farmer in southern Spain, who is using cows to regenerate the landscape and bringing water back in the soil, which is in a very drought-stricken region. And we spoke with Benedikt Bösel, who also spoke here at Change Now last year, who's regenerating 3,000 hectares in the most driest region of Germany, Brandenburg, where we're also moving towards the desert. We also reached out to some of the world's leading agronomists, and we asked them, what do they think is necessary for young people to be able to get into regenerative agriculture and to support farmers in that transition? And then together with our partner, the Data Mars Sustainability Foundation, we developed a 6-month program where we send young people for 2 times 1 month on an already advanced regenerative farm, so they can immerse themselves in that system and they can understand what regenerative agriculture looks like in practice. Then we have 2 months of online training where these agronomists are all willing to share their knowledge and their experience in supporting farmers. And finally, they go on a conventional farm and they create a transition plan together with that farmer in a 2-month process to really understand what is the context of the farmer and what could the transition look like in that context. Now, we opened the applications for this on the 15th of April, and we didn't know what to expect, so we started with 10 spots. And at the time that I had to hand this in, which was on the 19th of April, we had 16 applications, but now we're up to 25 for the first 10 spots. So it seems there's interest of young people to go on this level of education. And we're looking into scaling up this program in the next year, and to hopefully, through that, lay the groundwork for a regenerative agriculture master in the future. But as I said, this is one small corner. We talk now about the top right corner and the 5 yellow dots there. In the whole systems map, there's a lot more work to do. There's a lot more things that need to be changed if we want to build a regenerative agri-food system, which is then helping humans to be more in touch with the planet that we're on. And that is why we started a systems change consortium, where we invited different actors from across the agri-food system. So we have the head of soil science from Wageningen, we have the chief sustainability officer from Unilever, we have scientists, we have 5 farmers in there, we have NGOs, and we bring them together on a farm every 6 months. And we take them through a journey where we explore what are the different acupuncture points that we could push, what are the different interventions that we could create in order to start working on that systemic change. And around that, we created a co-funding alliance of philanthropic funders that can then fund these interventions which we're working on as that system. And this is, in the end, the story that I wanted to share with you here today. And the takeaway that I would love for you to take with you is to understand what is the system that you are in, what is the system that you can influence, and what are the acupuncture points that you can push within your system so that we can change now and that we can change the way how we're relating with our planet again. Thank you very much.